What's up, everyone? You are tuned in to the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 781. At the top of the show, we heard The Fall of Me off their newest album. The track is Hourglass. We also heard a brand new single from Parabellum, Bread and Circuses. If you were paying attention to my social media earlier today, there is a new episode, although now it's old because this one started, 780, which was featuring bands from this weekend's Rock for Life show and next weekend's Rock for Life show. There's some interviews in there that you'll want to check out. But this is episode 781. We are featuring 9Sundays. And let me make sure I get everybody on the screen. There we go. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey.
How you doing?
So,
Well,
you guys just had a CD release party like 2 days ago?
Thursday.
Okay, 4 days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I do that math right? Sunday? Yeah, 4.
Yeah. Weekends don't count.
I'm counting on my fingers. Everybody's looking at the ceiling. So the new album, Scream. Let's dive into that a little bit. Did you go to a studio to record it? Did you home record? How did you go about that?
Go ahead, Kevin.
We went to Firecase Studios in Baldwin, which sadly has recently closed. I think we were like the last project that he did there. We did a majority of it there. Some of the tracks were done kind of remotely and kind of sent to him to mix and all that kind of stuff. But the bulk of it was done there.
Before I go any further, obviously Kevin answered when he was directed. Why don't the rest of you introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
I'll go. I'm Rob. I'm one of the guitar players, and I used to do backup vocals, but I kind of retired that for some reason.
Yeah, I'm Dave. I play drums. I do backup vocals. I just told Kevin, I said, yeah, Kevin, why don't you go? He's a lead singer. I figured instead of us all talking over each other, we'll have one person speak. So
yeah, he'd do it anyway.
But
we can have him direct questions. When I ask them, he can like Brady Bunch and point to who he wants to answer.
Got a lot of David Lee Roth in him.
Field them.
Yep. Yeah, I'm John. I'm the other guitar player with Rob, and I sometimes do backup vocal also.
He's the old veteran.
And your missing bass player is
Justin.
All right, so how many tracks are on the new album?
11.
I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to fill that in.
no. Yeah, we have 11 tracks. We have one cover. We try to make it a habit of putting a cover. So we have 10 originals and the last one's a cover.
And who did you cover?
Fleetwood Mac.
And which song?
I'm like, hopefully I got that right at the last minute. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's Go Your Own Way.
Oh, definitely Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And before I forget, this is going to sound really weird, but hello, Mr. Quackers528 and John and Lima Chica in the chat room. Anybody else who is watching us, if you comment on the videos, most of them will show up in the chat and we can respond to you. And I can put them on screen like I just did there, where it says, hey, everyone from Jonna.
Mr. Quackers. Mm-hmm. Gotta say hi to him.
Hello, Mr. Quackers.
Right?
Kevin used to sell Quackers.
I did. I used to sell Quackers. That's correct. It's a true story.
Mr. Quackers is on every week. I don't know who it is, though. It's probably one of my students.
Yeah, we appreciate the attention.
Thanks for coming.
Quackers.
Yeah.
Hey, so I think it's been like 4 years since I had 9Sundays on.
Yeah, it was about the time of our last record, which was like 2021. which was face down, and so you're accurate in that statement.
Um, so what has changed since then? I know that's a really open-ended question, but are there any highlights or lowlights?
We
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
we had a lot of cool shows, I would say, opening for a lot of cool bands that we sort of like Lita Ford and Local H and Faster Pussycat, which was pretty cool if you
Those
grew up in the 80s like us.
those sound like Jurgles shows.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
trapped a couple of times, and what was the one?
Adelia's Way,
Yep.
Yeah, Adelaide's Way.
which was a funny one because I never, to be honest, I didn't know who they were. And Justin's like, we should open for them. They're great. And I go, yeah, there'll be no one there. And we get in the Hard Rock, and it was like the most crowded I've ever seen the Hard Rock. They removed all the chairs, and it was wall to wall people. So that was a nice surprise. So we've had a lot of shows like that we come out of there, opening for a band like that, and it's been real enjoyable. It's been great.
Yeah, they were really good. I don't know why we didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
If you could open for a band that you haven't opened for, who would you want to open for? And you can even pick a venue if you'd want. And Kevin, I'll let you lead the way. You can pick who's going to answer. And
Oh, I know who I would want and where I would want to.
Rob can take this one.
Well, but you guys probably would feel much differently. But
Well, I know our next goal. I hear the whispering many times from everyone. Stage AE. I know John has mentioned that before. Wow, if we can get a stage AE, I could pack my stuff up and be done. So that's our next goal. And but yeah,
you want to play the main stage at stage AE, right?
yeah.
Yep.
That's where I would want to play, but I would want to open for Queens of the Stone Age. That's who I would want to open, but that would never happen. Or Jack White.
Yeah. I'm in.
Or
Man.
Megadeth.
So do you guys want to each answer the questions, or do you want to do one person that has that? How do you want to handle that? I probably should have asked that earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way I won't talk. So
Yeah. That's
Well,
a tough question.
I missed the
I'm
last interview, so I got to make up a lot of time here.
I'm satisfied
4 years.
with that.
You're good with that
Yeah.
answer? Okay.
For 4 years, I've been saying, why wasn't I on that interview?
I had a bass player from a band corner me the other day, and he's like, "Listen, we've been on your show a bunch of times, and every time we're on it, the rest of my band gets to talk, and I don't. Can I do the show without them?" I scheduled that today.
Well,
Nice.
can we hit the button where that little hand pops up?
Yeah.
I don't think this software has that.
Yeah, that's definitely a work
Well,
thing.
we can do it as if someone in the band has an answer for any of your questions. They'll jump in, and if they don't, they
You'd be like,
Yes, I will yield if I have to.
we can do like in my classroom when I'm really annoyed, and I tell them, if you know the answer, put your hand on your head.
I mean, I guess PPG Arena would always be I think the ultimate, or like Star Lake or something like that. But I always kind of look one step at a time. I look for the next level.
Yeah, I'm into the theaters now,
Yeah.
like the Masonic Temple in Detroit or something. Like legendary, awesome sound,
See, when
And
I
they have
think
those little-
Detroit, I think Cobo Hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in Pittsburgh, I wouldn't mind, the Roxy
No, the
or
Roxy would be
steps
very
like
cool.
that. Yeah. So every time I go to a show, I sit there and go, "Oh, I'd love to play here." So that's how I judge it now.
Well, you guys played at Mr. Smalls right before me and Kevin were in the band.
Yeah, a long time ago. John
And
and,
that's
I
a
did.
cool place.
There are so many stages there now. They have They have the main stage. They have this, I think it's called the Sanctuary. They have the DIY one upstairs, and then catty corner to the building, they have a new stage in another building. But
Nice.
John, I think we played in the main one, right?
Yeah.
The main room.
Yeah, we played the main one, main stage.
very cool. Hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our first break, and we're gonna listen to "Scream" and "Paradise Is Burning" off the new album. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about maybe I could talk. We'll talk a little bit about those, among other things. In the meantime, on the video side, I have 2 tickets to Drusky show to give away, and we will be right back.
What shows you giving tickets with?
It's that time of the night where I am going to take a moment to spin the wheel and help Music from the 412 and Drusky Entertainment give away 2 tickets to a show. But before I do that, I do want to mention some of the shows that we already gave tickets away that you can still purchase tickets for, like Rocket Mafia with Mimic and Dying Breed on July 9th, Buddy Guy on July 16th, Billy Price Band on the 25th. The tickets we're going to give away tonight are Sweet with the Creedmoors and Rattlebones on the 31st at Jurgles Rhythm Grill. Those are all July dates, by the way. After that, we have Striper at Jurgles that we're giving away tickets for, Bill Toms and Hard Rain, Sister Hazel with the Sages, Lita Ford, Mushroom Head with Psycho Stick, Black Satellite, and that list is always changing. In fact, I sent an email out earlier today to try and get an update for some more tickets to give away. Above my head, you will see the 3 names that have signed up for this week's giveaway with Sweet with the Creedmoors and Rattlebones. That show, if you do not win, the doors are 6 p.m., shows at 8 p.m., early entry is 5 p.m. But as I started to say, if you don't win, you can go to Drusky Entertainment and purchase some tickets for yourself. Everything at Jurgles, as always, is a 21 and over event. With that said, we have Jeff Brooks, Keith Laydig, and Tom Trainer. All other names are on my wheel 4 times. I'm going to shuffle once and twice, and then click to give it a spin. And our winner is going to be Jeff Brooks. So, Jeff, what you want to do is keep an eye on your email. You'll be receiving one later tonight from me with information on how to get those tickets. And for everybody else, and Jeff included, head to musicfrom412.com/contests for information on how to win tickets to the other shows that I mentioned. And with that said, I'm going to head back to my interview with the gentleman from 9Sundays.
You're listening to the Pennsylvania Rock Show on the 412.
Hey, it's Bill. You're tuned in to the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 781. With me today are 4 of the members of 9Sundays. You just heard 2 of their tracks off their brand new album, Scream. We heard the title song, Scream, and we heard Paradise Is Burning. And you guys are old enough that when I say this, you're going to know what I'm talking about. This is your MTV moment where you can do a storytellers and tell us about the song. I do that sometimes, and the kids look at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I could easily tell you about. We'll go first, and then Kevin could take the next one. Scream was one of the last songs we did for this album. Last songs that was added to it, and it was, I believe, it was after the Lita Ford show. Just because we were playing for crowds that we didn't know anyone, we didn't know anybody in the crowd. The people would get there and line up to see Lita Ford, the headliner, and they'd be all right in the front, and we would come on. They didn't know who we were, and we'd go up and get to play all our originals, a half-hour set in front of total strangers, and to see people enjoying them who had no idea who we were, didn't know the songs, and they were into it, and they were trying to sing along, and they were clapping and getting into it, and that's where Scream came from. just it was an enjoyable time, and it was one of those things you're just like, yeah, I want this every show. That's what I want. So that's what Scream was all about.
And then Paradise is Burning. It was actually inspired by like the Hawaii fires that started like a year or so ago, a couple years ago. And I thought, well, that's somebody said that on the news, like Paradise is Burning, like, right? It was like a title there that I saw, and I thought, what a cool lyric that would be. And then I thought, well, how would that relate to a relationship? And so I wrote it about a relationship where, it's your paradise is burning, and I don't really care because you created it, so let's go.
What? And I remember
hearing the description changes what I heard completely.
Yeah.
Well, there's a story. Go ahead, Rob.
Wow. So while Kevin was having all these thoughts, he was writing different parts and sending them to me and Dave. And it was during college football season, because I remember he would send me a new part like every friggin' 20 plays. But so he had like 19 different parts of this song. And I had a riff that my son had written, and he didn't know what to do with it. He's in another band, obviously much younger than us. And
you can name drop them.
Yeah, they're Novus is the name of their band. And John's son is in it as well. He's the drummer.
They actually opened for us.
Yeah, they opened for us at the release party the other night. And so I said to him, like, do you care if I send this to Kevin? Because me and Kevin were talking about, I want like one other riff or something.
Yeah.
I sent it to him, and he used, part of it, not like all of it, but the context of it. But it was a mishmash of parts. And then Dave and Kevin pretty much formed it one Saturday and no one bothered me during the football game. And then all of a sudden it became a pretty hard, cool song.
And that's how like a lot of the songs that I write come together. It's like I get a bunch of parts, I don't know what to do with them, and then I like, Dave, help me out here. And then he just
my first thought is I read the lyrics, I go, first of all, are you okay? And then and then I go, what is this part? What is this? A what? What is this? A verse?
Yeah.
Is this a pre? And he makes up sayings I never heard before. Because that's the post-chorus bridge. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to take his some of his extenuating songs and kind of compress them down a little bit.
He also makes up chords that never existed.
John, do you play an instrument?
I'm sorry, what?
John's
that was John.
You're real quiet over there.
This is a perfect point where John could come in on this one.
Yeah, I'm the quiet one in the band, but yeah, Kevin makes up chords.
All right, you know what?
Well,
Hold on, we're gonna stop mid question, and I'm gonna ask another question because it plays with what he just said there. So the question is, tell me something embarrassing that's happened on stage, but you have to tell me something somebody else did, not you. And I feel like you're all gonna pick on Kevin now.
Well, the
Kevin.
lead singer is the most exposed. So, like, I can make a mistake as a drummer and kind of just barrel through it, and no one maybe doesn't notice as much. So when the lead singer makes a mistake, it's the most noticeable. I'll leave it at that. So
Anybody?
Yeah.
You could tell me from a different band if it makes you feel more comfortable. Past band.
well, I knew a guy once who was yelling at the sound man, saying that he couldn't hear his guitar, and then another guy in the band went over and turned his amp on. So that was that guy was crazy.
And that band was never asked to play that festival again.
Yeah, that was
Rob. And John, the quiet, calm one, walked over and just went, turned on the amp and turned around and walked away.
That happened at practice about 12 times too. Where I couldn't get any sound for whatever any way you can't get sound. I've done it, and John just walks over and fixes it.
I asked that question a couple episodes ago, and it turned out that the guitarist was using a new guitar that didn't have a battery and needed a battery.
There you go. That's
a
Yeah,
move there.
I've played with guitar players that have dead batteries many times, like in their pedals. They didn't realize till they needed them. Might be in the same band I'm in. I'm not sure, but I can't
That
really.
was me again.
Okay, so I picked the wrong person that was going to be picked on.
Well, but see, nobody really noticed, you know?
I asked that question. Abby Kreisner, who's on the X in Pittsburgh. Oh,
Yeah,
no, she's on DVE.
Right.
She had a band called Fist Fight in the Parking Lot, and I interviewed them, and their drummer wasn't on, and I asked that question, and everybody told a story about the drummer.
Well, next time I'll tell you about 10 about Kevin, but I'll abstain tonight.
All right, so we have
a
about a minute left in this segment. I'm going to ask one question, and one of you can take it. You're leaving a gig, and there's a DeLorean sitting there with its door up and a flux capacitor in the back. Just like Marty, you get to go back in time and end up playing with a band. What band are you going to go back to play with? And if you do it quick, you can all answer.
Dude, it would have been Metallica because I was playing bass at that time, and Cliff Burton had just died, and they were having auditions, so I would have auditioned for Metallica.
I would have taken the third guitar spot in Iron Maiden in a heartbeat.
I would have went back to California in like 70 and played with Black Sabbath at that giant festival.
I don't have anything that exciting. I thought we were saying which period we want to go back to see what we were playing.
Oh, you wouldn't want to play with Rush?
I mean, you could stick with the movie theme and play with Chuck Berry's cousin Marvin.
Yes, that'd be it.
Okay.
It would also be cool to play with Alice in Chains.
Oh, definitely.
That's another guy you'd have to question his lyrics every time he's writing a song.
Well, even Mad Season, right? So, yep.
All right, so we're going to take our second break. On the video side, you're going to see some upcoming show flyers. On the radio side, we're going to hear from Stereo Scandal with their song Book of Magic. And we're going to go outside the Pennsylvania borders to hear from a Get Out of Town band, Kilburn. The song is Bleeding, and they are from Scandinavia. I can't remember which company or country, so that's what we're going with. We'll be right back. Hey, so I paused talking there because I was listening to them off the air, and I'm gonna ask that question in a moment since you brought that up. But we're headed back into segment number 3 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode 781 with 9 Sundays. And what they were talking about was that they are almost at their 100th show. You said 97?
Yes, 97.
Do you have 3 shows booked? Do you know which one's going to be your 100th?
We have 2 books.
Yeah, we
Yeah, our
Are-
trip
are
to
they-
Ohio and Bar 31. So we have it'll be probably our one of our last shows in this year. We'll hit 100.
So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good promotional piece. We can
Pretty cool.
we can sell that.
So I just looked. John and I have been here since the inception in 2008. So it's hard to believe we played 97 shows.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
John, go back and look at them. It's actually a fun ride. You go back and go to the beginning, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah. So all the places that are no longer around.
So I'm going to pull your website up on the screen, but I think only Kevin is set up for audio. So Kevin, when I'm talking, you have to respond. I'm going to find the right button. There it is. Okay, so this is 9 Sundays website. Artwork from their new album, Scream. And we were just talking about shows. And I'm assuming contact is probably an email, correct? So anybody who wants to book your band should head to 9sundays.com.
Correct.
Contact.
Yep. Yep.
Their electronic press kit, where you will find more information than you're going to find out about them here on the show. But anyway, I like to show the websites off because I do design websites. So it's on there just so I can do that real quick.
No, cool. Appreciate that.
So again, that's 9sundays.com. If you're watching the video, it is under Kevin. If you're not watching the video, it's the number 9 and then Sundays. And I remember asking you guys where the name came from, and I can't remember what the significance was of 9, but I believe you practice on Sunday, right? Wasn't that what the story was? Did I get that part of it right?
Good, John.
Yeah, well, our first singer, he was a busy guy. He could only practice on 9 o'clock on Sundays.
That's what it was at the
So-
time.
When Dave and Bob and I were throwing the band together, we talked with people and they said, hey, go with 9 Sundays. So we did.
I actually think your wife suggested that.
Yeah, she did.
We had a bunch of names and one more ridiculous than the other, and that was a good one. That was real good.
She said, keep it simple, right? Have some meaning behind it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because everybody asks me, like a lot of people ask me, like, what's the significance of the name? Like, because they think it's a cool name, and I'm like, well, you're not gonna believe it if I tell you. And then and then they're like, that's a cool story. I'm like, all right, cool, man. That's the story.
So instead of beers with practice, we used to have like coffee in the first thing in the morning. It was a little different, completely different atmosphere.
I lie every time. I tell a different story.
Did you
Different
know
story
the
every
real
time?
story?
I know the real
Okay, I
story,
thought
but I
maybe
wasn't involved, so
Yeah.
I say
Are you
that's the difference.
guys familiar with the band Right On Warriors?
No.
So it's a Pittsburgh band, and their name came from the fact that everybody, when they're going to practice, has to make a right on Warriors Street.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Right on
that's a good
Warriors.
story.
There
That's
you go.
cool. Yeah,
Like it.
nice.
The Sherwood 5.
That's a very cool street.
Hey, Rob.
I'd like.
So you said you weren't here the last time we did this, so I know for sure you didn't answer these 2 questions. So I'm going to direct them at you, and if anybody else wants to answer them, they can. But these are the official and unofficial Build a Scene questions. The official one is, who's your Dave Grohl? And what I mean by that is, who do you want to go up on stage with, like where you get pulled out of the crowd and perform one of their songs? Because the Foo Fighters are known for doing that.
Right now it would be a tie between Josh Homme and Bruce Dickinson.
And the second question is a little more out there. What is the best pizza you've had because you're a musician? So at a gig, on your way to a gig, on your way home from a gig, at a recording session, anything like that.
I can't remember the name.
Leaving Guitar Center.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the place that me and Kevin drove home from Jurgles.
Yeah, I'd like to add some color to that story because it's hilarious.
Oh, here we
But
Okay, we're
it's the
listening.
first time I ever saw Kevin turn down a beer.
Yeah.
That's part of the story. Because I was like,
Well-
shut up and drink a beer while I eat, you idiot.
Well, we're sitting there and we're just like ripping on each other back and forth, and the bartender's like, "Why are you guys so mean to each other?"
I ask that every week.
go. Yeah, it gets a little crazy.
We have a Jason Bateman, Will Arnett thing going on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we ever give each other a straight answer in 5 years. So
Well,
Yeah.
there's times Kevin will text me and ask me about something, and I'll pause and go, "Are you serious? Or are you just joking around here?" Because if I spend 5 minutes doing something and you're just pulling my chain, and he's like, "No, I'm serious. I'm serious." I'm like, "All right."
yeah,
But I start doing it and go, "Wait a minute, he's probably just messing around."
he didn't really buy a llama, if that's what it was.
Well, no one named the pizza joint, so I'm going to name it Beatty's on Banksville.
It's a good
All
name.
right.
All right, there you go.
I've been enjoying, Jet's Pizza. I've been into those.
That's a good band name, by the way. Beanies on Banksville.
That's such a Pittsburgh name, isn't it?
Well,
It's
that's like
Beanies on Banksville.
that's the Needs Hotel band is named after the Needs Hotel, which
There you go.
Yeah.
is reopening. I don't know if you guys have ever played there, but there's a venue that's reopening instead of closing. So,
All right.
Awesome.
okay, so let's see. You sit down on a bench, kind of like in Forrest Gump, and right next to you is an innocent bystander that happens to be one of your musical idols. Who's sitting next to you, and what are you going to ask them? You get to ask one question. And while you're thinking, don't forget to head to Rock for Life's Music from the 412's Rock for Life Independence Day extravaganza at the Penn Brewery this Friday, July 4th, 5:30 p.m. And I'm out of stuff to say, so somebody take over.
Rock for Life has some awesome shows. I'll back you up on that.
Thank you.
I always see the videos and your posts on that. They have some good shows.
And
So-
speaking of that, the videos and photos that I took are on my Facebook as of like today. So anyone who wants to go check this out, it's bill.damiano, facebook.com, bill.damiano. Sorry, go ahead.
So back to the question. For me, like the reason I picked up a guitar in the first place was Randy Rhoads. And two questions would be: one, how did you do what you did? Second, why did you get on that plane? Not to go dark, but I mean, dude was afraid of flying and got on that plane and ended his life way too soon. But he was just amazing. Like, he was way ahead of his time, and just like, I haven't found a guitar player that I was more impressed with ever since.
For me, it would be Jimmy Page for sure.
And do you have a question you would ask?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have anything to do with what most people want to ask him about, like, you know, the occult and Aleister Crowley and crap like that. It would really have to do with, believe it or not, like it would have to be like, if it could be two people, it would be him and Joe Walsh, because they were friends. And that Les Paul that he uses as his number one, he got from Joe Walsh. But it would have to do with his production. He's like amazing at producing and all the sounds that he created. And there's a lot of Zeppelin stuff they couldn't play live accurately because of what he did. But I think he was the master at making sure everybody was heard. Plus, you could ask him a zillion questions about Bonham, and him and John Paul Jones are like accomplished studio musicians before they formed that band, so they're on a ton of recordings. And I would also ask him like why Jeff Beck was such a temperamental jagoff. But
That might end the conversation at that point.
no, I think he would enjoy that. But yeah,
Well,
Hey.
I was lucky enough to meet two different artists that they were the reason why I started playing. So the first reason I started playing drums was because of Kiss. The spectacle of seeing that was, I got to do this. I want to do this. This is so great. I got to meet, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. It was in a meet and greet, so obviously you didn't get to talk to him too long. But, I got to tell them that. And then the next person who was my next influence as I got older was Rush. And I got to meet Geddy Lee at a book signing, and I told him that too. So no questions, because I'm always afraid of the answers I might get. That's going to ruin I don't want to ruin that putting them up in the. Yeah. So I got to tell them that, and I thought that was enough for me.
you could have talked to him about Dave Parker. He loves baseball.
Yeah, that is true. It was.
That's not controversial.
Who's left? John.
Well, mine would be Jimmy Page, but I wanted to play drums, but was not permitted. So,
That sounds very familiar.
so I said, you know what? If I'm not permitted, they were too loud. So, okay, well, I'm going to blow your ass out with a guitar then. So that's how I got on the guitar. So it was Jimmy Page, Angus Young.
We're gonna have to switch up here, practice here. I think we're gonna have to put you on drums.
No, you don't want me playing drums.
So just
The questions I would ask Jimmy Page would be, how did you track all those songs? He was, like Rob said, he was the master of sound and tracking. And when you listen to it really deeply and really listen to all their songs, you hear it. You hear everything about it. And it was amazing. Angus Young, I just loved because he just went out there and played. Perfect. So you have a little bit of both there for me.
Hey guys, so if I'm going to get this on the radio, I do have to cut you off. I apologize. Let's do this again and not wait 4 years.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us. For sure.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody in the chat room. The two of you that interjected and the rest of you that did not, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you join us next Monday as well. With that said, we're going to head off into the evening. If this is the first time you've watched the show, if you go to buildscene.com/radio in about 15 minutes, you'll get to hear all of this interview all over again, but you'll also get to hear all the music that I play along with it. Speaking of that, we have 2 more tracks on our way out. We have another Get Out of Town band. It's Cipriano band. Get Low is the name of their track. And then we're going to play Yigga Digga, Bone Crackin' Magic. And that'll be it for the evening.
We played with them once.